Okay, this is my paper for psychology for the online course, Psychology Entrance. And this is just practice so that when I do have to do it, I won't be nervous. It's entitled Label Without Love. And we can neither deny nor change the truth. It's easier to speak about the crimes committed by a person with an undiagnosed or ignored mental illness than to acknowledge and get help for the mentally ill individual. Because of the fear of embarrassment and stigma, we don't seek treatment or even say the word mentally ill out loud. We cannot acknowledge what we won't accept. Mental illness doesn't make an otherwise good person bad. Mental illness is a disease just as cancer, diabetes, leukemia, or heart disease. We call an ambulance when our loved ones suffer from any of the aforementioned diseases, but when our family member or our loved ones suffer from mental illness, we call the police. We would rather point fingers than look at the reflection in the mirror. It's easy to institutionalize than confront and acknowledge. We rationalize hiding our loved ones in mental institutions to avoid the thought that as parents and family members, we will face blame and ridicule. Family members must be included in the conversations of early diagnosed mentally ill patients or family members. Sadly, this illness is so stigmatized that most often than not it goes untreated and undiagnosed. It's not until someone suffering with a mental illness captures our attention due to horrific crimes committed by the individual afflicted because they heard a voice that instructed them to carry out such heinous atrocities. If we would just stop and take an honest look at ourselves and our family members, we can get the diagnosis and treatment that may prevent a catastrophic event. If we do not address mental illness, the voices will just get louder and be declared the reigning champion of a war going on inside the head of the mentally afflicted. Politicians don't address it until or unless it hits home, either because a loved one is diagnosed or murdered by someone that is undiagnosed and ignored. Mental illness is a dirty word until we or a loved one become the poster child for it. There is something innately noble about someone fighting for their life by fighting the noise going on in their head. Until we fully and honestly participate in all aspects of humanity, we are guilty and accountable. We can't reach the finish line if we never enter the race and fully engage, empathize, and understand mental illness. Those that are mentally ill are a reflection of what's broken in this world. What if the problems of the world caused by sane individuals could be solved by those that are declared insane? Got you thinking, don't I? Being diagnosed with mental disease should not be a death sentence. We are evolving and devolving at the same time. Stolen minds, stolen lives. Ignorance is bliss until it isn't. Sanity is relative. Reality is only realized when we're bucked from the proverbial horse. Our minds won't conceive what our heads, hearts, and eyes won't believe. Those with mental illness sometimes refuse medication due to lack of understanding and feel as though if they take their meds and their devils go away, their angels will also flee. So the reality check will continue to be declined until we educate, medicate, dedicate ourselves to seek knowledge of what mental illness truly is and how it affects those that are suffering with it. The greatest disservice is not being of service. Mental illness is not contagious. Those with undiagnosed or ignored mental illness oftentimes become drug addicts, and that becomes a pacifier of a beautiful mind. If discussing mental illness and its effects cause us to be uncomfortable, multiply that feeling by 100, and that's what those suffering from it and with it feel on a daily basis. We don't know what we don't know. And that becomes, in essence, the band-aid to cover the irresponsible acts of desiring to remain ignorant. Knowledge requires action. What good is it to be full of knowledge but only use it to your own advantage? Wisdom is the passing on of knowledge. Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Unfortunately, those with mental disease often take this way out. When we attempt to justify the fact that that we deny the truth by continuing to live the lie. We have become a microwave society. We don't want to invest time and effort and energy or money for what is not beneficial to ourselves. We don't do the work that a true human connection will require of us. Those with mental illness aren't acting out because their behavior isn't rehearsed. It's their reality. We as a society refuse to be proactive but find cold comfort in being reactive. Maybe prisons wouldn't be filled to capacity if only we seek treatment and understanding for mental illness. If we don't or won't understand the cause and effect, how can we cure? Treatment is discovery and home should be recovery, not a cell in the penitentiary. So we must engage and do what we can from where we are with what we have to truly make this world a better place. People won't take medication if people won't take medication if they won't or don't know they're ill. How can and why would an individual trust a clinician or a support group which they consider outsiders when those closest to them, their family and friends, shun and fail to love them unconditionally? It's not our indifference that immobilizes us. It's our silence. And that's my paper for my psychology entrance course, which hopefully I'll pass. This is just practice so that I won't be so nervous when I do the Zoom conference. And I put it on YouTube because I thought it had some good information. And I think that we either know of or are suffering with mental illness on some level or another. It could be something as simple as anxiety attacks, all the way to schizophrenia. But like I said, ignorance is bliss until it isn't. Thank you.